Well, the question is, will the Dow crash first, or will Russia crash first? Actually, seems to be there might be a struggle of powers, and even though I realize that the East and West confrontation has really been controlled by the elite, communism has been born by the elite. It's a branch of globalism. I think there's some type of intramural contest going on, but the whole deal is conflict produces change. So as we kick back here on the Harley Chopper with the fishtails and whatever kind of engine we got in there, is that a panhead? I don't know. Can't even tell. It's got a 4-speed kickstart on it, like it should anyway. But I'm going to actually tell you though, there's a game going on, and the Dow is actually getting super, super, super dangerous. Like here's the Dow right now, and you can see where it's at. If you bring this down a little bit of a microcosm, you can see it's kind of like it's getting a little iffy, even though it's climbing up. If you just kind of like draw a line over here connecting the peaks, it kind of looks like, hey man, maybe that's it. But that's a real rough technical. I don't really want to put too much faith in that. But let me put it to you this way: the major media has been warning about this deal with the Dow for a while. But bubbles go more than they expect. What happened with the tech bubble? Hey man, it went up way more than you thought. People were saying, it's a bubble, it's a bubble. Oh no, it's going up fast. Look how fast. But what could be going on here, I'm going to tell you something. A little bit of an inside. This could be a government type thing to take over people's wealth. Because this next time the Dow goes down, it may be more than a 50% retracement. And they're going to make it so it's going to be like General Motors. When General Motors, like you never thought General Motors would ever fall. Remember that stock, how big it was going up? You figured that was all planned, man. They called it government motors. This time when the Dow falls, it's going to probably take over. The government's probably going to come in and be the big, big mama or big daddy for all these major financial institutions out there. And, it's already become very unpopular that J.P. Morgan and Goldman Sachs has been getting away with so much. And so it's almost like the people might just clamor for it like stupidity, really. But I don't know what to say about that because I think they got a plan. I think there's a method to the madness. I'm going to tell you something about this Dow that doesn't really make any sense at all. But if you really want to see the real reason it's going up, is because, and I'm not going to show this graph this whole damn time, I'm going to get into some other biker pictures and stuff and hands-on stuff. But if you look at what's going on with this damn thing here, the last times we had, a peak, there was rampant real GDP growth plus inflation. That's what fueled it in the 90s, and then we had the tech bubble break. And then we had also the crisis that happened in 2009, 2008, late 2008, actually 2009. And it reached, a bottom here. But the next time it breaks, it's going to go further. Like this actually what led to the beginning of this, before this, was really, if you go back, let's say, right around, I'm trying to, this graph is like, right around here. Right around here, January 2007. That's really when the real estate market started to really break like crazy. And what happened? The Dow was still going up. Now, actually, partly what happened in recent days or recent weeks, part of the Dow going up was even just due to Visa and the big banks and how to ripping people off on fees and for credit cards and all this other garbage. I mean, I mentioned that. Actually, I saw where a business was putting money in Wells Fargo. They were charged money on their account, a fee for depositing cash. I mean, it was like a deposit of $350, and they charged like $20-something to deposit $300-something in the bank. That's partly where some of this is coming from, too. But when it crashes, the government is going to come on and take over. And when they take over, it's actually going to be taking over retirement accounts too, because that's where a lot of people's retirement accounts are wrapped up in. And they're going to clamor for this. Actually, in the last, under the Obama administration, between GDP and inflation, the stock market, it was a 22% growth. But the stock market, The Dow went up 157 points, 157%. It just rose like a rocket. Okay? So what's going on here? See, this is the only time in history, if you go all the way back from, this point all the way back, the Dow was within a few percentage points of the real GDP growth and inflation combined, except during the Obama administration. Now, he's basically the one that's going to be carrying out the plan, but I'm telling you, this is being set up so they're going to steal all your retirement money, too. So, tell me silver's a bad bet. It's not a bad bet, but you'll find out in the long run what's going to really happen. So, anyway, now the other thing is, we got this competition going on between the USA and Russia. Now, I don't know how much contrived. I think Putin actually is kind of winging it in some ways. And, his adventure in Ukraine has actually cost him a hell of a lot more money than it was worth. I don't know what the hell. That's the problem when you're a dictator, because everybody's going to tell you, yeah, right, sir, you're right. Yeah, we agree with you. You won't ever see any dissent around him. That's part of the problem with having too much power, because everybody's going to agree. You have a bunch of yes men around you. And unlike the USA, we pretty much don't quite have that. And how many people in the United States actually agree with the current president? Not many. Not many. How many people kiss his ass? Only the people that are right around him. How many people in the average Joes and Janes in America kiss his ass? Pretty much none. So the thing is, when the economy folds up in the United States, we will be able to kickstart it again, because the thing is, it's just they called about thinking outside the box. But the problem is with Putin, he's running an oligarchy over there basically, and he's even come up to the Rosneft, the oil giant, which employs 160,000 people. What's going on is they asked Putin for $44 billion, and right now Putin is not paying it, but since it's 70% state-owned and employs that many people, he's probably going to pay it, man. He's probably going to pay it. So he's kind of like stuck out there in the middle of the desert, He's got no choice, man. It's like you're going to have to freaking figure a way out of the desert, and he's going to have to deal. The ruble actually went down 23% in the last few months. I think it went down 38% just in 2014, and it's been going down for the last couple of years. Now, also, Western business, after seeing what's been going on with reparations against Western businesses and Western interests due to the sanctions that were put on Russia, a lot of Western businesses are like saying, I don't want to bother with freaking Russia. So it's going to be pretty tough to get them back in there again. And, right now there's a lot of things that are becoming due as far as loans. Russia actually has a $370 billion reserve pile, but some of their assets are pretty damn iffy, because some of it's debt issued to Ukraine, and Putin's own aggression is actually making some of that worthless. Some of their assets are debt issued to Ukraine. So like, how the hell you get that back? They're considering that an asset, but it's basically a stupid asset on the books. It doesn't really mean anything. So it's going on. There's probably a race between who's going to crash first. And I'm going to tell you right now, man, I wouldn't worry too much about the politics of the situation. You want to get down to nuts and bolts and support your local military, like old girl over here, because when it comes right down to it, you got to be hands-on, and the giddy rumors aren't going to help you too much. But I'm telling you right now that it is a fact, not a conspiracy theory, that the Dow is going to crash pretty damn hard. Actually, if the Dow was following what it historically always follows with between GDP and inflation, which is actually only 22%, the Dow would only be slightly over 8,000. So that's an indication that it could easily have a more than 50% correction. And when that happens, Marxist Obama is going to come in there and he's going to freaking try to take over everything. And I think he's going to, because most of the armchair Americans will go along with it. You silver holders, you're actually probably in a hell of a lot better shape. But silver's not the only thing that's going to get you through, you know. Maybe welding might, you know. Actually, I'm going to be probably picking up some of my argon CO2 125 cubic foot tank for my little MIG welder, the makeshift puppy that I kind of fixed up, so I can get into some more of this stuff. Just like old girl here is like out there grinding with some metal. And you know, it doesn't mean, you know, it's like so many people just don't do this type of stuff anymore. It's like they want to sit on their easy chair and get rich, but they realize you've got to actually be hands-on and do a lot of different things. So, but Putin is kind of thinking that oil prices, he might be able to tolerate it for 2 years, and also he's playing the card with the Russian people that, well, you know, it's the West doing it, so, you know, the Russian people get behind the nationalism, but actually a lot of it's just due to Putin's freaking stupid ventures in Ukraine. Like, say, for instance, even if it was a righteous thing to go and say it was, let's just give it a given, it sure as hell wasn't worth it, considering what the reparations were. I mean, I don't know what the hell this guy was thinking of, but if he wasn't trying to steal so much money for himself in his little inner circle, the Russian people probably have a hell of a lot more. And, you know, with 2/3 of their exports coming from energy and the oil prices staying down, I don't know. Well, actually, to tell you the truth, you know what I think? I think it would be in Putin's interest to start the war in the Middle East and blame it on the U.S. I really don't know. I mean, if I was him, that's what I would do, because I know that's definitely what's going to bring up the oil prices. If there's a major war between the Sunni and the Shiite Muslims and a lot of oil gets taken off the market and the Straits of Hormuz gets temporarily closed, Russia is going to get filthy rich. That's what's going to happen. I don't know why. I'm surprised he hasn't done this or he hasn't seen this, but that would do it. That would do it. So anyway, when that happens, I'm going to tell you right now, I'm still working on some of the I got so many things on my plate right now, it's unbelievable. But it does look like the Russian economy is wounded and the bear is wounded and they're really on the verge of crisis. They think they can hold out for a couple of years, but they probably can't, because once things get up to a certain point, the crescendo increases. Like, in other words, since Putin kind of went back and said, hey, we're not going to, we're going to hit you back with our type of sanctions, it's caused Western banks and business interests to pull money out of Russia, and they don't want to bother with it. So that's causing them a bigger cash crunch. And when you figure the rubles dropped 23% just in 3 months, 38% just in this year, and even more over the last couple of years, and oil needs to stay at least $90-something a barrel for them to freaking really stay afloat, and it's down in the 70s, they're screwed. They're screwed. So, you never know, man. The Middle East might start, the conflagration in the Middle East might actually start from Russia itself, one way or through one of its proxies. Because, to me it's obvious. I mean, if I was him, I'd be playing that card to the max. I would be, because I realize that's where he's getting all his wealth from. I'm surprised he doesn't. I don't know. I don't understand this. Maybe this guy isn't that smart in some ways. He is smart. Like, let me put it this way. Anybody that gets in a position of Vladimir Putin is extremely smart. But that doesn't mean they're extremely smart in every respect. You know, no one person. And see, the problem with being a dictator is that, if somebody else is extremely smart in another area, you aren't, and they go against your opinion, it's like, it's not in their interest to do that, because it's like they get their head chopped off, more or less, you know? The dictator's always right, so you got loads of yes men around him telling him a bunch of crap he wants to hear. And that becomes a problem in itself. You know, when we have a team, you might have like an arguments like we have, in Congress and stuff, and we might have arguments in the American population. But when all the input is said and done, the actual end result of the team is far stronger than any one individual. That's always true. Even if you have a person in a team that is like 150 IQ and all the rest of the people are a 110 to 120, and you're thinking, well, when you put the team together, the team actually works. The team as a whole works together. That is partly why this complicated labyrinth of a system we call the United States of America works better. And we don't need a Marxist Obama system. But anyway, when the freaking outlook comes out, I tell you the truth, I hope to be riding in my Harley with a little HHO in the deal, a little HHO in the mix. I tell you the truth, I was out there tonight starting up the bike because it was a little cold. It's still a little bit cold out there, but I want to let me get this bike started, man, put it on a battery charger and all that other shit and get it going. But, I'd love to put an HHO on it because I get about 50 miles per gallon with it, even that it's not supposed to, because even though it's built up with freer breathing stuff. Well, if I add some HHO, man, I'd like to see it get 55 to 60 because I think when the real prices of silver go up, we're going to be seeing some really, really, really high gas prices, maybe $8 to $10 a gallon. And I'm thinking ahead. People are thinking these prices are going to stay low, but what really is going on right now? Will Russia break first, or will it be the Dow? Or will they occur at the same time, and all the confusion and all the conflagration bring about a new financial system? Maybe. I really do think the Dow is definitely being pumped up by central banks. I'm not even looking at all this financial garbage because I think what Jim Rogers says in some ways about the farmers is going to be coming true. And that actually comes about with all the people that work with their hands. Well, actually, when you work with your hands, you work with your mind, too. I mean, it's not like you're just working with your hands. You're thinking about what the hell you're doing. You're shaping metal a certain way. And you don't have to be a male to do this stuff, man. But it's like I have a lot of respect for women that do this type of stuff, too. But you're just going to have to get out of your armchair and make it go. So, but it looks like the Dow, well, it's not even it looks like. It is a fact. If the Dow was following its historic precedent, like it's within several percentage points of GDP growth and inflation, the Dow would only be slightly over 8,000 right now. You know that? That's a fact. So, the correction could very easily be over 50% when it comes about. And what I think is, since they're pumping this up, this is all central bank stuff doing this stuff. All the central banks are pumping up the markets. And major media is telling you this. The major media is even admitting this. If you dig into the articles, they're not blabbing it out on CNN or ABC or NBC or Fox or anything. But I'm telling you, the major media, when you look in Reuters and Forbes and Financial Times, and you dig in all these different other financial areas, and actually I work with a CPA firm that actually is partners with a boutique financial, well, what the hell is that I say, investment firm. They're down, I don't want to say where they are, but they're like, they have a very strict criteria for how much the clients have to have in net worth. And it's a matter of time before this whole damn thing just really comes down hard. It does not. And when it comes down, I think the government is going to come into play and take over some of the largest financial institutions, or be major partners or major shareholders in some of the major financial institutions. It's not going to be like TARP. Troubled asset recovery, whatever the hell that was, man. I forgot the troubled asset bailout, whatever the hell it was. Man, I forgot what the hell it was, man. I forgot. I've been reading, that was a while ago when all that shit happened. I remember the acts on that and all that kind of garbage. But the thing is, when that happens, it's going to be like General Motors. It's going to be government Motors, and it's going to be government JP Morgan. It's going to be government Goldman Sachs. And what does that mean with your retirement accounts owned by the government? Just like Obama took over, has been trying to take over 1/6 of the economy with healthcare. This is all in the plans too. This is going to crash, man. This is going to crash. So also got to say is go back to old school, man. I mean, really, what can I tell you, man? Just simple old school. Because the elite don't bother with this stuff. They don't think it's worth anything. It's not really taxable because it doesn't really have a number assigned to it. It's like kept below the radar, but there's an actual usage to it, a real practical usage to it. So, anyway, but it looks like Vladimir Putin is actually having some major ass problems, man. Oh, God, you wouldn't believe it. You wouldn't believe it, man. It's like the guy really screwed up when he went in Ukraine, man, because actually part of the problem, what he did was some of the loans he sent to Ukraine that are assets on the books of Russian banks, they're no good no more. That's part of his buffer, Those assets aren't worth a damn. He's not going to get any debt repayment for Ukraine when he's freaking blowing the place up. Freaking idiot. I mean, I don't know what that. That's what I said. Some of these people are really smart, but when you're a dictator, you shoot yourself in the foot because the team, you just silence the team, and it doesn't matter. I mean, this was even a problem with Adolf Hitler, right? I mean, people were afraid to freaking wake him up when D-Day invasion was coming, right? If they would have woke that guy up when D-Day invasion was coming, there would have been a bunch of Tiger tanks freaking, bombing the hell out of the Allies and stuff, and maybe the invasion would have failed. They try to tell Hitler, hey, you don't do those kind of tanks, do a bunch of medium tanks. They try to tell Hitler to do a lot of different things. They tell them, what kind of planes to build. This guy was like, no, I'm smarter than you. So maybe he was smart. But the thing is, the team is always smarter. And that's the problem with freaking Putin. I mean, he's not stupid. But that's really how he's screwing up. He's a dictator. It's just a given that. That's why all dictators screw up. But by the time they go down, they cause a lot of hell and human misery throughout the whole freaking world. So, I ain't against the Russian people, man. I think the Russians are all right, man. I only get mad at the Russians that are so much up Putin's ass, man. I'm like, who the hell cares? You think I'm up Obama's ass? I don't like Obama. I think he's a Karl Marx freaking he doesn't even belong in the freaking presidency, man. He's not even born in he doesn't even have the birth certificate, for crying out loud. But that's not the whole point. He's been overstepping his power for a long time with immigration and everything else, man. I mean, if we had some real hardcore come on, man. I mean, he's going to grant amnesty to a whole bunch of immigrants, 5 million of them, that haven't even bothered to freaking go through anything, and tell everybody else that did, to hell with him. You know why he's doing that? Because he's erasing the nation itself. It's not that he's being kind-hearted. The whole policy, I'm all for being kind-hearted. The whole policy by Obama, when actually he's doing a policy to elite, is to erase the nation's borders. He's doing it through immigration, man. It's not like I don't have nothing against immigrants. Just do the little bit plan and all that kind of shit. I don't care, man. So I'm just telling you, man. When this happens, it's gonna be a tough deal. And but it's a matter of, is the Dow going to crash first or Russia? You know what I actually think? I think the Dow's going to crash first. Unfortunately, the alternative media, which I am not part of, maybe I'm not in with the major media, but I'm not part of the alternative media either. I'm not going to be cheering on the downfall of the U.S. Dow and all that kind of garbage, because I know it. I think it's all planned. I'm going to be out there working on my bike. I'd love to have a kickstart on it too, and ride happy and free and support the U.S. of A, man, because I realize the U.S. of A is not about Obama. It's not about Bush. It's not about Clinton. It's about us. It's about us, man. And ride free. And we need to have our own money so we stay independent, man. So I'll tell you, it looks pretty doom and gloom with the silver because of what it's been doing the last few years. But relatively speaking, watch what happens with the Dow when it crashes. I think that's going to happen first. Even though Russia looks like it's on the wire right now, because it could be that Russia crashes and the Dow crashes. I don't know, man. But the situation is not looking too good. And I'm going to repeat this again. I think to me, I don't understand why Putin isn't even starting the war in the Middle East, because that's definitely the key to oil prices going way the hell up. It surprises the hell out of me. Maybe he just can't do it, but I don't see how he can't. I don't see how he can't, man. It'd be very easy. It'd be very, very easy. And that would bring oil up to like $200 or $300 a barrel in no time flat, and Russian coffers would be filling up like crazy. I tell you that right now. So, I mean, I'm the only one saying this, but it's so damn obvious. I'm surprised he didn't do it already. And I'm thinking, now that his back's to the wall, he just might. So, but if that happens, your silver is going to go way the hell up. Way the hell up. It's going to break through all kinds of records. But you're going to need the money, because fuel and energy is going to be a lot of money. And like I said, I'm working on a lot of alternative sources for this garbage. One step at a time. I can't freaking change the world overnight, but whatever I learn, I'm going to post.